I think this is probably like the first sign of burnout when any type of notification just makes you upset. Like if
Yes.
I get an email and all I see is the subject would say,
Yeah.
"Hey Jade," and I'm like, "What? What do you want?"
I'm just trying to be somebody. So make a way, make a way, make a way. I'm just trying to be somebody.
Hey everyone, it's me, Halise. Welcome to this episode of the Trying to Be Somebody podcast, a video podcast that focuses on interviewing mostly BIPOC artists and creatives about their creative career with the goal of helping you. I'm so excited to present this episode of the video podcast to you. It features someone who frankly does not need much of an introduction at all, so I'll try to be brief. Jade Fox. She is an amazing YouTuber, content creator, comedian, fashion icon. I just enjoy watching her content so much whenever I do get to check into her channel, and I've actually been a patron supporter of her for a while as well. I originally wanted to talk to Jade on the podcast about leaning into your identity as a queer Black creator. She often leads with that, with all of the type of content that she creates. But in the process of scheduling with her, we ended up realizing that a better topic would emerge. And that's the topic of burnout. This is something that I think has come into the realm of understanding and a bit more normalized over the last year and a half or so. But what does it mean to now understand what burnout is and then understand how to recognize it and try to move past it? So without further ado, Jade Fox and I are going to have a fun conversation about that. So originally, and you can decide how much you want to share in just how your life is going right now. But originally, we were going to talk about leaning into your identity and producing content from that. But then we had to reschedule the call. And that made me think about, dang, I should just have you talk about burnout, because that feels like something that a lot of people will be able to relate to.
Yeah, a bitch was tired. A bitch was tired. Yeah, it's a weird psychological game. This whole content making job. I feel like there's so many hats that you wear, and then there's also so many like how do I explain this? Like when you are a Black person, when you're a Black queer person online, people just love to insult you, just cause. Just for funsies. And you do kind of like, build a callus and you kind of ignore it, or you find a way to not digest all of that. But you still see it. And so I feel like there's like the actual like mental and emotional turmoil that you feel maybe as a response to something, but there's also like the little things like the comments that may not get a rise out of you from day to day, but over time can influence maybe the way that you feel about your content. Maybe it's gotten me to the point where I'm like nervous when I upload a video. And it doesn't even matter what the video is. I literally uploaded a video on zodiac signs, and I was like anxious, you know what I mean? Like just thinking about the response of it. And I think that is more where the burnout comes from. It's like the time it takes to make the thing, and then also the time that goes into comments, responding to things, reading people's responses, and just let I talk about things that can be debates. People have arguments surrounding them, and so it's also like I can upload a video sparking a conversation 6 months ago, and people are still arguing in the comments from that video from 6 months ago, but I'm still getting the alerts for it. And so it's like I'm constantly reading opinions and think pieces and all of these things all of the time. And to think that it has no, impact on your mental it's foolish, because it does. I just think it's probably a little different for everybody.
I think leaning into just the identities, like you are like multi-hyphenate struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's already, I'm just saying. Like,
I am super deluxe Negro.
Yes. Like but it's so true. Cause I mean, even, the two main identities I hold, Black and woman, Like, it's whatever on the internet for most of the things I make. Something that I have struggled with in the past is like the burden of getting, and this is going to sound privileged as hell, I think, to most people, especially if you're like new to content creation and you're waiting for that big break, like you're waiting for the big moments, But something that's been hard for me is when I actually get sponsored opportunities, or it's a opportunity with, like, say, the platform itself, like YouTube itself. And of course, they want to let the entire world know that they're collaborating and doing something. So they themselves push the content to the front page. And it's just like every time I'm just
It
like,
is straight shot to hell in those comments. It's weird. It's weird, right? Like it's
yeah.
And the thing is, it's gotten to the point where YouTube will like say, even if it's not YouTube, if it's some other platform that wants to like post your stuff front page, they literally have to like tell you, like prep you, listen, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be a whole bunch of N-words in the comments, just letting you know this now. It's like, damn, like this is supposed to be this cool for exposure opportunity. And I feel exposed. That's for sure.
I feel
So,
very vulnerable, very exposed. Yeah, I've been boosted a couple times on platforms. And every time, at least they told you. That's great that they told you. The times that I've gotten it, nobody told me. It was just the video was doing views and I was like, okay, yeah, people are finding it organically. Cool, cool, cool. Then all of a sudden, 10 hours passes by and the video jumps up to like 150,000 views in 10 hours. And it's like, whoa. And then the comments are just
tar baby.
Just a mess, man.
Very much. Very much.
So I be logging off. I don't know about you, but
oh, say less. I love to put down a phone. I love to log off. I love to just act like I don't exist on the internet.
Right.
I'm off the grid, babes. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. I literally it's gotten to the point where like with Instagram, I will upload my picture and then immediately put my phone down and I won't look at it for like at least 3 hours.
yeah, same. Like I'm not as active on Instagram. I would say Instagram is actually still a place that I can just be fun for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But I know like for you, and I think a lot of other bigger creators that I've talked to, Instagram is becoming actually something that's like a valuable revenue stream for y'all on top of other things. But even with Instagram, man, mostly for me, it's more like the mindless scrolling and you don't realize how that's burning you out in a weird way.
Yeah.
So for me, something I started doing, well, when I used to have a Pixel, because Google kept giving us pixels for like a minute.
They sure did.
They were just passing them pixels out.
Like Rice Krispie treats.
Like just
Want a
crazy.
phone?
And not even like the low end, like a phone. Like
a phone.
It was a phone.
A lot of people, I use that as my like photo phone when I remember it. I don't ever use it for calls. I only use it for photos. That's it.
That's smart. But I remember the one thing I did like about that phone was it had a focus mode. And I don't think Apple iPhone has anything like this on the iPhone, like inherently innate to it. I think you have to download something. But it was just like one of the top apps, you like drop down top. And it was like you hit focus mode and you like set a list of apps that would just go gray on your phone. Indefinitely until you turned focus mode back off. And it was a way for you to just like balance out how much time you're spending on your phone doing things you don't need to do. And that is like, I've recently switched back to iPhone, but that's like the one thing I miss about my Google phone is that it had that focus mode. And I'd have that thing on for like 10 of the 24 hours of the day. Straight
Do
up.
do you think that creating an audience online, if that component was not part of your job, that you would be on these apps?
Dang. I don't know. I don't think I would. Like, no, I probably wouldn't be. Because I'd want to focus on other things or whatever.
It's almost like it's not that important.
Yeah.
Like it is, but it's not. I feel like that's the like weighing that, like what is important versus what isn't important, especially when there's always a new app coming out.
Yeah.
Like there's this pressure to like get on the app, start making content on the app, get an audience there. I feel like the like part of an influencer or content creator's struggle is really just trying to balance like, where do I need to invest my time? Trying to focus on the 1 to 3 things and just doing those is so hard when the internet is always like yelling at you,
Yeah.
do more. Look
Yeah.
what you could have. Look at where you could be. Look at
Yeah.
this new app. Think of the possibilities on this one.
Hey guys, a quick break from the Trying to Be Somebody podcast. If you're listening to me wherever you get your podcast, please rate it there. That really helps with the podcast getting more discovered. If you're watching the podcast here on YouTube or potentially on Spotify as well, please like the video, share the video, comment down below. All of that helps with the algorithms and getting the podcast seen and heard by more people. I'd really appreciate that. The next thing you can do if you want to take it a step further, join the Patreon, patreon.com/Halise. There you get early access to these episodes, as well as behind the scenes content of anything and everything that's happening with Stumblewell, the production company that I run that produces this show. And that's it. Without further ado, back to the discussion with Jade Fox. So like for you, when you go through phases of burnout, you know, do you have like a set regimen to get yourself back into a zone? Or is it just like, well, we out here rolling in the deep, floundering, you know, like, see you when I see you.
It's usually too late by the time I do something about it. And I'm just like in a dark room with like a fuzzy sweater and I'm just like curled up. I'm like, don't talk to me. Yeah, no, I usually don't know what's happening or it's around the corner until I am in the pits of it.
Yeah.
Usually. Just because I wake up and I'm like I feel like a little like curmudgeon, like a just like an angry little bean. Like that's how I feel like when I wake up and just throughout my day. And so usually at that point, I will just kind of drop everything. I will tie up the absolutely like, this is absolutely necessary. I have to come through on this. I will wrap those up and then I will just disconnect.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I usually don't need that long.
Oh, okay.
Usually. I usually give myself maybe 2 days. Because usually after 2 days, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really need a super long time. I think, you know, if depression's on, can I cuss?
I'm not going to stop you.
Okay. If depression's on my ass
Yeah.
and I'm feeling like I'm kind of burning out, then those 2 days might turn into a week. Because then it's like, one, I need to relax, but I also need to almost restore myself. Whereas if it's just burnout, I just need to sleep. I just need to relax. I just need to take a minute, let myself fall asleep on the couch at 3 p.m. You know, like that's what I need to do. And I also feel like I feel how long the days are when I don't do anything.
Okay.
But when I'm working, the days go by like that.
Yeah.
And so I feel just very present when I'm relaxing or when I'm taking that time off, more so than when I'm actually working. So it's almost like the time feels twice as long. So maybe that's why I only need 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 to 3 days. And I just indulge. I indulge so much. Like I order all the food.
Yeah.
Mad sides, like beverage too. And y'all better not forget my drink because they love to forget a drink. Like I'm gonna rent the movie. I don't care if it's not $2.99. If it's $6.99, I deserve it. I'm paying for it. You know what I mean? Like I just like turn my apartment into like a Marriott resort as much as I can.
Sponsored by Marriott Bonvoy. You know?
Exactly. And like I'll tell my girlfriend and usually like we'll kind of like make a day out of it. We'll maybe bring in like the air mattress and bring it into the living room and just like have a slumber party and that type of thing.
That's so cool. For me, it's interesting. I've gotten to a point now professionally where I can not necessarily know for sure that I'm about to hit a burnout, but I can just see where it's like, I'm just doing too many things. Like I see it starting to come up. Like usually it'll happen where I get something else, like one more thing booked. And then I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
You ever got to the point where I think this is probably like the first sign of burnout when any type of notification just makes you upset. Like if
Yeah.
I get an email and all I see is the subject would say,
Yeah.
"Hey Jade," and I'm like, "What? What do you want?" like that is my like outward response. Um, if it's a comment, if it could literally be like anything. It could be good news. And I'm just like, ugh. Like I just get, yeah, like everybody wants a piece of me. Like that's like how I feel. So I don't know if you've ever felt that.
Oh, definitely. Like I've gotten emails that were like not even for work. Like they were just reaching out to say, "Hey, you did a great job. Thanks." Like the type of email you want. And I'm still
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, well, I did. So and you did a good job too, I guess. What? Why are you here?"
What,
You
what are
know?
we doing this for? What is this?
What do you want from me? And it's just like I think it was I think it was my husband. He was like, "They're just saying thank you." Like they're just this is good like business relationship
This is
stuff.
good
Calm
news.
down, you know? And I was like, "You right."
I can't process it that way with the state that I'm in.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think the other thing for me is similar too. Is I do find myself just like tired for no reason, you
Mhm.
know, or I'll know that I need to stop when it's like I actually know the next thing I need to do, like my to do list or whatever. I actually know everything I need to get done, and none of it is like difficult at all, and like isn't even like time consuming. It's not like film a whole video. It's literally just like respond to the email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I just like stand paralyzed. Like there's this gif, there's this gif of this little brown boy that won the spelling bee. Like his name was Arvind. He won it back in like 2013, and he wins, and like all the confetti's dropping, and he's just like, and it's like confetti, like the crowds are yelling, and he's just. And I feel like that is my general mood when I realize, okay, it's time to something
Pack
needs
it
to,
in.
yeah, something needs to shift.
Mhm.
But I don't know, as far as like getting back into the swing of things, I wish it only took me 2 days. That's amazing. I love that you've like figured that out. I don't even know. I still don't, I know how to catch it before it starts, but I'm not sure I actually know how to like get out of it well.
Yeah. You know what though? I had a therapist tell me once that this is going to sound like a humble brag, and I don't mean it to sound like that at all. Just telling a story. Um, but I basically just told him what my job was, and because at the time I was doing YouTube. Was I? I may have at the time been doing YouTube, and I had a full time at the same time, and I was also booking like speaking engagements. So I would go to work Monday through Friday, take a flight out Friday, come back Sunday, go to work and just work during the weekend. And then, on my off time when I'm off work, I would do videos and stuff. And so my therapist, he was like, you know that you are an exceptional person. Like the amount that you do is more than what the average person is willing to do. And the same thing goes for you. And the same thing goes for like most people who make things.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, of course, when you run out, it's going to feel like your whole body is completely empty. And so, you know, when he told me that, it almost reminded me of, it almost makes like the restoration process or the real the play to match the work.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like it's more deserved
Mm.
in a way, because
Yeah.
it's like, I'm out here literally doing the most every single day. And
Yeah.
so it's like, of course, I used to feel guilty for sending emails being like, "Hey, I'm so sorry to cancel, but like, I'm not feeling well or I'm tired, whatever." I used to feel so guilty for doing that. But aside from the fact that, as exceptional people, we need exceptional rest.
Yeah.
As just a human being person, you
Yeah.
also need to rest. And it was funny because unintentionally, I took like a week off because I went to go visit my um, girlfriend's family in another state. And when I came back, I slept really well when I was away. And so when I came back, I was just so ready to do everything. And I did everything. I feel like we really do underestimate the power of a good night's sleep.
Oh yeah.
Like,
And like, oh, go ahead.
oh no, and just like breakfast, water. I know they sound like things that you just kind of like on a checklist that you just need to check off to just make sure that you're doing adulting right. But
Mm-hmm.
like they have real results that can happen if you just allow yourself to just give yourself that time to recharge.
I know for me, something I've been doing a lot recently, and even as I get busier with the residency and doing my projects and doing everything that I'm doing with Adobe, I'm still just kind of like, nope, not giving this up though. Is working out, like, and it's not really
Mhm.
for the physical, like, ooh, vein, ooh, six pack. Like, it's really not that. It's really just like I've gotten to a point where working out for me is like, this is something I am actively doing because I know it makes me feel better, not only physically, but mentally. Like, the big long term benefit for me working out. I work out almost every day. And I'm not talking about like I'm out here doing high intensity workouts like crazy people. Like, I at least go for a 30 to 45 minute like moms out in these streets
You
walk,
be
you know?
running. You got special shoes. I saw them.
Yeah, or
The
go
ones you be
for a
running in.
run. Yeah, just like something, like doing something that is literally for nobody else but me, which I think
Mhm.
is just so important. And not even just for like creatives like us, but even just like anyone, moms, like
Yeah.
find a thing without the kid and like
Mhm.
do that. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It's so
so
crucial.
like radical doing things for yourself,
It is.
especially as like a black woman who is almost expected to come to the aid of everyone. And then on top of whatever our individual responsibilities are, like if you're a wife, if you're a caretaker, whatever title that you have. So like being able to own your own time,
Mm.
reclaiming my time, you know, it's a radical act and it really does like saying no to things, saying no to people and saying I choose you, I choose myself over you right now.
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable thing to do when you first start, but once you start, you're like, "Oh wait, no, I'm supposed to be doing this."
Learning to say no to people is one of the hardest things professionally I had to learn how to do because I am a bit of a people pleaser. Not even
Mhm.
gonna lie. I feel like my family listen if they listen to this, they'll be like, no, she not. And it's like I am actually. Okay. um, but yeah, learning to say no, and you don't. And the sad part is, I learned how to say no because I got pushed to such an absurd
Mm.
level. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If I can help somebody not get to the level of push that I had to in order to finally learn how to say no to people, then
Yeah.
ooh, so important. The other thing I think about too, and like not to like demean creativity or say that it's not like being an artist, being a creative doesn't have value in our society. It should and it does, I think, for me anyway. But I'm also like, at the end of the day, this is a video that's going on the internet, you know? Like, I try to
Yes.
keep that in mind.
Yes. This
Like,
is
we're
just a
not doing,
speck.
right. We're not doing groundbreaking research, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I'm not looking for a cure to something. My job at its core, if we're going to dumb it down to a sentence, is to entertain you. That's
Yeah.
my job.
You're curing
So,
boredom.
I'll take
Boom.
that. Sure. Yeah. Curing boredom, a little bit of inspiration in there. Hey, how you
Mhm.
doing? But like I don't know if I'm like literally saving lives.
Yeah. But you could be though. You could be though. Like that's the thing. It's like people take whatever they want. Like you can have a certain message, certain motivation behind the content that you make, but people can take it and use it for whatever they want. Like I've heard so many stories about how people, not so many, like 3, about girl. Like there's like these 3 people and they were like both all in the hospital for like really serious stuff. And they were telling me like I watched your videos and they really pulled me through. And I was like, that's crazy that a smash or pass did that, but cool. And it's like having that awareness though of the weight, I guess, that you kind of have. Well, not the weight that you have, but the weight that your content has in other people's lives is also like somewhere a part of my brain, like in the frontal lobe part, which like adds pressure to make sure it's good, I guess.
Yeah, I know for me the big thing is like I remember hearing I was doing a like client video for a like a nonprofit shelter, and it was people that had gone through different variations of abuse, whether it be drug abuse or violence or whatever. And one of the people I interviewed who now worked there, she was like, the thing I kind of try to think about when with my life is like at the end of the day, who have I harmed and who have I helped? And that was something that I always like, even though I didn't realize it at the time, I started thinking about that every time I uploaded the video, of just like, is this harming anybody? And is this potentially helping somebody? And as long as it's helping somebody, whether it be like you said, of just like smash or pass, it just got me through, it was just pleasant, or really grateful you put this tutorial out. Now I know how to do the thing and I got the gig or whatever. And it's like, cool. I have a hard time watching content actually that's like not demeaning in nature, but just people like bashing on somebody. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh yes.
Comedically, it's fun to watch. Like, I don't even know how to. There's a difference. I feel like there's a difference between like jokes and like this is a situation and like isn't life funny that way? You know what I mean?
No,
Versus here's why this person's trash. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like
know.
I used to have a series called Say What Sunday. It was like a pop culture thing. And I stopped doing it because one, I just stopped caring really about celebrities in the way that I used to. And then number two, I just realized that they're just humans. They're just humans with buttloads of money and buttloads of bad decisions. And you know what? It made me think of like if I was famous and in this particular spotlight, like how would I want people to talk about me? And the thing is like there's no way you can control that. People are going to have their opinions. You could do everything right, and to some people, you could be doing everything wrong. So, I just like to make space for humans to be human, and I also found myself like kind of being like the angsty, person online saying, well, that person's trash and that person ain't shit and this is that and the third. And it's just like, I don't like feeling that way. And I don't like watching. First of all, I hate editing because I hate watching myself like, and then having to rewind it. I despise it. Yeah, no, as soon as I finish the video, I watch it all the way through to make sure there's no like weird glitches or anything. And then I upload, and then that is the last time I watch that video. Yeah, I can't. But yeah, like I can't. I cannot. Like it's just because then I start second guessing myself, and then I'm like, well, why did you say that word that way? And then I talk fast, and so sometimes I like don't say words correctly, and in my mind I say them correctly. It's just too much. The way my brain like overthinks, it's not good for me to watch myself back a bunch of times.
Wow, I keep myself company. Like I am my friend. I am myself's friend.
Like I wish I could just be talent. Like let me just show up to the set, have my little talking points, do, and then I'm out the door. Like that's the ideal situation for me. But yeah, being that loud person that's like this is shit and that person ain't shit. Da da da. I feel like I used to be that type of creator, and I am kind of glad that I'm not anymore. Because you really don't know. That's the thing about the internet. You truly don't know 100% of what you're talking about. There's no way unless you are a researcher or something.
Well, even then, I mean, like, and you also don't know whatever the person is you're talking about. You kind of don't know the full scope of what they may or may not be going through in the background that they have not shared, because nobody really needs to tell anybody all of their business. You know what I mean? And so it's also that kind of thing. I think for me, I'm always kind of scared of, like, if I comment on this and then it turns out that they were actually at one of the lowest points of their life because A, B, C through J was going on. I don't know. Do you have any advice that you would want to tell people? Something I know I will say out loud to people is that don't necessarily look at where I'm at in my career, where Jade is at her career, and be like, I don't know, like, I guess, like, have things to strive for. Sure, you want to get somewhere, and now you have people. What's really cool about now is you have people that have, like, you can see multiple perspectives on creative careers, which is really cool. But because I definitely didn't have that when I was starting out. And so it's cool to see now just the diversity of people and how it is becoming more and more diverse.
Right.
But at the same time, it's also like, enjoy where you're at. I remember I started a new channel in 2019, 2020 maybe, 2019. I don't remember. I started a food channel just for funsies, and I was it was this jolt of love that I had for YouTube that came back, because it was like, oh my gosh, 50 people watched the video, you know?
Yeah.
And it was so excited. Like, I really wish more people, when you're starting out, to, like, just soak up the newness, because once you hit where I'm at, where Jade's at, it's like
It's all downhill.
It's not downhill. It's great. It really is.
Yeah.
But you lose an aspect of the, not
Like the wonder.
the wonderment, the purity of it, the joy of it. So I know it's hard. Don't get me. I wish nothing but growth for everyone listening / watching, but try to enjoy where you're at right now, for sure. If you're just starting out,
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah. It's I got this little lesson from Kev on stage. And he was basically just talking about falling back in love with the process and not the performance. And so I've been trying to lean into that. Like, what are going to be the video ideas or concepts, and not even, and beyond video too, like with anything.
Yeah.
That whether or not it actually gets posted online or not, like, let me fall. What are those things that are going to be fun for me to actually produce? Like, what is going to be a fun process for me? Because whether or not it performs well, it's not really a factor in that. Or at least I don't think it should be, because like you were just saying with your food channel, that's not a metric you're using. That's not even a focal point. You know what I mean? It was the fact that you started this channel rooted in an interest, and there were people that, kind of clung to your content. And I think with that middle ground, what is that Venn diagram?
Yeah.
Of
You
like
got it.
your interests, and then other people, strangers online, and you find somewhere in the middle is like that, where you get those good warm feels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I say, like, anyone who wants to start, only do what you give a shit about.
Oh, totally.
Only do what you want to do. Don't do something that you think is going to perform well. Don't do something that you've seen other people do and you want to kind of recreate it and to have the same type of success. You have to define your own success.
Amen.
Because your success, it can be different from another person. And then also your success may be more fulfilling than someone else's, even if their success is like maybe more rooted in like monetary, means and that type of thing. I have a second channel that I started this year because I love fashion. I love style. I love like learning how clothes are made. My girlfriend's a seamstress. And so there's just a lot of interest there. And then I realized that like there was no perspective on style or fashion that was rooted in like androgyny or unisex kind of nature.
Yeah.
And for that, I looked a mess like most of my life. And so I wanted to be able to create that outlet so that more people won't look a mess, throughout their lives. And so that's kind of what the pure, that pure interest, that pure joy, that is what that channel was created out of. And we're almost at 40K. I didn't even have any, I did not have I didn't create the channel to get to a certain number, but I think like when you do love something, one, it's not such a hard pull for you to get involved with it, write the ideas down, produce the content, create it. You're actually having fun in the middle of making the content. And so that also kind of sells itself in a way. And I think that that's probably like a component of the best success that you could have is when you are having fun doing what you want to do and people can tell. Like people can tell that you're having fun doing what you do. But
definitely.
Yeah, you got to define your own success because everybody's out here with Fendi headbands and fur boots, fur booties, and forever mood candles. No shade to Jackie Aina. Those candles are expensive. You know what I mean? Like everybody's out here flexing.
Yeah.
And so, you got to define what success is for you or else you're going to get lost in the sauce.
That's true. And it's also like when you're starting out and building everything, you need to like it or you will burn out that much faster. Like truly. I think I'm so grateful that on my main channel where this video will be, like I have figured out, thankfully, that balance between doing the sponsored things that will, like I said, I wish that for you. Mm-hmm. I wish sponsored content for you. But finding that balance of like having the right sponsors find you so you still get to be who you are. You still get to be why so many people probably have found you in the first place.
Yep.
Is so important. I know for me, actually, like uploading has never really been super stressful for me. I know you mentioned it in the beginning of like stress. But even on the main channel, because I never established a niche, and my YouTube manager was on me so much. She was like, you are doing so many things on this channel. You need to pick a niche or you're never going to get to 100K. And I was like, the niche is me. There is only one me. I am it's the channel's called Halise. You're hanging out with Halise doing whatever she doing. So why you pressed, man? Get off me. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to just try some stuff. And then if something takes off, then you can make that calculated decision of whether you want to flip it, reverse it, repackage it, do another version of that, just to get that metric watch time growth that we all kind of have to somewhat begrudgingly pay attention to,
Yep. Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a formula. And I feel like everyone's formula is different.
Oh, yeah. I know who is it? I think it was Sarah Dici. She's a tech YouTuber. She does a thing where it's like 2 for them, 1 for me. So like,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah, 2 videos are for the sponsors or for what I know the audience will like, blah, blah, blah. And then 1's for me.
I
know, yeah, I know other YouTubers where it's like 1 for me, 1 for them. Some YouTubers is like 4 for me, 1 for them.
You know what though? Yeah. I've definitely pivoted into the position where I see YouTube as a job.
Yeah.
Like YouTube is my job. It's something that I show up for. I clock in a certain amount of hours. I expect my checks.
Yes.
And I'm out. I have my second channel, which is like more of an outlet kind of thing. And there was a lot of like hesitation. Like for some reason, I thought that I wasn't allowed to view YouTube as just a job because for some reason at the time anyway, it felt like ingenuine because I feel like YouTube is such an intimate space and the like creator audience relationship is more intimate than like, if I was a baseball player and I had fans, and so like it felt like I was like diminishing or like belittling that relationship by labeling it a job. But by labeling it a job, it actually helped me with burnout because
okay.
I didn't have this expectation of loving everything. You know, like there wasn't this expectation of this needs to be, you know, a product of my life's work. This needs to come from my soul. This needs to, you know, be, you know, this big honest message that's going to shift minds. Like
Yeah.
it can. And I think, you know, I've done things that are worth talking about, but by making it a job and by like framing it that way, I all I see is deadlines. All I see is a to-do list. All I see are, you know, project like map outs.
Yeah.
And it almost makes it more tangible and like easier to approach that way. And it's not to say that there isn't any soul or like a consciousness in my content, because there is, because it's me, you
Right.
know, like Holly's is Holly's,
Yeah.
Jade's Jade. But, you know, kind of like framing it that way has definitely taken the guilt out of it. But also it just helps me get the shit done. You know what I mean? Like sometimes with literally any job you have, even if it's a job you love is still a job.
Oh yeah. Work is still work.
It's still work. It's still taxing. It still takes time away from you and your family, your dog, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I guess that could be advice for anyone who wants to get into it, is like maybe establish that early on. Like, is this going to be something that I want to be a cash cow? Okay, you can do that, but make sure that you keep that outlook. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
For
And if it's
sure.
going to be a passion project, stay true to that.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing too is like, and I know for me with my channel as well, like one, for people, everyone says, you know, be consistent. That's like the big thing, right? Be consistent, be consistent. No one ever mentions this part. You define what consistency is for you.
Yes.
If consistency is biweekly, if consistency is once a month, once a quarter, you decide what it is for you. And your consistency, yeah, may change as you grow, as you find time, as you become faster at editing, become faster at filming yourself, all those kinds of things. But you define what consistency is. And then just know that, like, you know, I think on my channel, there's probably close to 300 videos up there, if we're even counting unlisted stuff that only Patreon people see, like all that. I am the most proud of maybe 5. 5 of those videos of the hundreds that I feel like are still good years later, which is another thing. I feel like so many people will ask for advice, like, I'm starting a channel, but I don't know what it should be and this and that. And I'm like, just start. Because the sooner you start, the sooner you'll grow, the sooner you'll get better at filming yourself, the sooner you'll get better at writing scripts, the sooner you'll get sponsorship opportunities, the sooner everything will start happening when you start. And it's okay to see yourself. You should be watching videos you made a month ago, 6 months ago, and cringing a little bit because something's off or it's weird or you don't know how to talk in front of the camera or whatever it is. That's a sign that you're growing, which is great. So don't be afraid to just put yourself out there and start and fumble through it. Why y'all think I named the company Stumble Well? We are stumbling constantly because that is part of life. The difference between like me and you and someone else who's on the verge of starting something is just that we started.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. That's literally it. We started.
That is the only difference. I tell people all the time, anyone can do this.
Anyone
Can do this. Like, when I say that, I usually mean it to like, don't put me on a pedestal, because I don't want to do that.
Too. Yeah.
Don't do that. So like, I don't feel that I'm special. I just feel like I started at the time when it was becoming more of a thing.
Yeah.
That's literally it though. There are a few privileges there. Like, I had a camera and I had internet.
Sure.
But other than that, like, anyone that you see online that you like, you can do it. It's not out of reach. And I've also heard this lie. people say like they don't have the personality for it. Let me tell you something.
Oh, that's interesting.
I love people who don't yell. I love people who aren't, hey guys, welcome to my channel. Smash.
Yeah. Y'all ain't never
What
gonna
is she-
see me do that.
Yeah, like if you think of your friend group or any friends that you've had, like is every one of your friends like a belligerent, like yelling person? No, like they're very calm people. They're probably very quiet people, even like ASMR. There are videos where people don't even talk at all and they just make noises with like Coke bottles and shit. And it's like, I will watch it for the
Yeah.
entire hour. I will.
Oh, yes.
And so like don't underestimate what one, yourself, and then two, don't underestimate what you think people would be interested in, because there's so many people in the world. YouTube is so vast, and we're just naming one platform. YouTube
Right.
is just one platform. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the other ones are, Snapchat if you want to do that still. Twitch,
People out here
Discord,
just
whatever.
just hanging out for hours.
Yeah, for hours. And so it's like, if you have the idea, then you don't need anything else.
Very
if you
true.
have like the motivation, or just you're feeling eager to do it, just do it. Everything else, you will figure it out.
So I hope this conversation was helpful for you, whether you're someone who's thinking about getting into content creation, or maybe you're someone who's currently in it and starting to feel some of these effects of burnout. Again, especially as we're all still learning how to navigate the world through this panini press and so on and so forth. Hopefully Jade and I gave you a few words of wisdom to work through. I know something for me that is really helpful is, and I know this is not necessarily the best thing, but sometimes you do have to get to the edge and go over the edge to know when it's time to rein things back. The only way you know where your limit is when you hit it, unfortunately. So be easy on yourself when you do find that you are hitting that limit and maybe crossing over that limit. Try to focus on it as being a learning experience for you, and now you know where it is and you can stay away from it moving forward. Again, life is a journey. It's all part of the process. Thank you so much for listening/watching today. I'm Halise, endeavoring to persevere as always, and this is the Trying to Be Somebody podcast. I will see you in the next one.
I'm just trying to be somebody to make a way.